welcome to Spirit Switchboard. I'm your host, Carrie Lynn Chilhorn, and you are listening to us live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 in the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. If you are interested in finding out more about the shows that UPRN has to offer, you can head to uprntalkradio.com and you can access all of the shows, the hosts. You can access the thousands of archive shows that we have. There is something for everyone. It is not all high strangeness and paranormal. I'm realizing, folks, StreamYard did some rejudging and I did not add our banner, so things are going to look a little different tonight. The camera was not acting, it was acting up as well too. So I'm feeling a little like I need to take a breath. How I feel like we need to start this show. I was very excited. This was so late in coming, and I'm really grateful to tonight's guest for being so patient that it took so long to get her back on the show. It was such a great experience having Asria on. We did a 3-part. Tonight will be the 3rd part series, tapping into our cosmic DNA frequencies. And my mom, my sister, and my niece were so gracious in being part of that, those segments. So I wish that we could have had them all back on to do the part 3, but it's how things are rolling today. It's just how things are rolling today. So I'd like to bring out Asria Beckham. Hi. It's always good to see your face.
Oh, thank you for having me back. And this is so exciting to, as you said, build the conclusion of everything we've done so far. So thank you.
You're welcome. Sharing time, space, and energy with you is always a pleasure.
Thank you.
How would you, so just to give people a little bit of a background, do you know what? I see that you have a new web address on there as well too. The Alarian Resonance. I'm so sorry. Maybe we should put that up for you on the ticker banner.
Ah, thank you.
You're welcome. Can you tell people a little bit about your background?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So, hi, everyone. Those of you who, don't know me, I was really blessed and sort of having the background in, I think, being sensitive, I think you would call it. So from a very, very early age, from the age of about 5 or 6, seeing the unseen and feeling the unsaid. And so working and knowing sort of energies and spirits at a very, very young age. I then later on, through obviously doing Reiki and dowsing and mediumship and so on and so forth, was introduced to my star family, star beings, through dowsing. So through pendulum work. And through that, I was then bringing back memories of when I was a child and various visitations in my room and things like that. And the journey has just been unfolding over the past few years, especially in the past 5 or 7 years, I think it is now, where I started asking the question around, I could understand sort of like Akashic records and things like that, but how we're then linked to and our past lives in other galaxies, other planets, and other planetary systems. And I'm trying to cut a really about 40 odd years into about 4 minutes, but I think
we have lots of time.
So I then, as I started very much working with a group of beings that I currently know as the scholars. So they're a group of masters in their own right. And we call them scholars because not only are they learning and we're learning, but we're also teaching as well. And it was learning how to translate the various frequencies of different races of beings through various pendulum works. Now, some people will know that there are different tools that I use, like the Unify, which is a beautiful, beautiful. I don't have it with me, so apologies for those who are viewing this. But it's kind of like a selenite crystal. Ah, there we go. Yes, thank you, Carolyn.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
It's like I call it like the unicorn horn.
Yes.
So, and that helps pick up the various frequencies, and that's how I started tuning in to the various frequencies and energies of the different beings with it. And the difference being is within a person's energy field. And that started to answer the questions around what makes us up. Where do we come from? Because a lot of people like me are like, look up at the stars and go, I belong up there, not here. Here doesn't feel quite right, but up there, there's kind of a bit more of a longing. So
yeah, here's uncomfortable Earth School.
Yes, it is very much Earth School. There is a lot to learn down here, and the journey that I've been on more over the past 7 years, and this work has been unfolding month on month around what frequency of being are we holding in our own energy field, and what can we then identify those different frequencies of beings, and then how does that link to our star lineage? How does that link to the other planetary systems we're in? But most importantly, which I think we'll come on to a bit later on, is how can we use that while we're on Earth School? How can we tune into that? How can we bring our awareness to that? And what does that actually mean for me?
Exactly.
How can I start using it? How can I start integrating this kind of multidimensional architecture that makes us up?
Let's say hello to folks that are in the chat. Thank you so much, everybody, for popping in and saying hello. Contessa's saying hello, Carrie Lynn and Asria. Everyone in the chat, thank you so much for being here. Oh, I'm glad Jody's excited about the topic today. So are we. Tina Lumasol. Good evening, Carrie Lynn and Asria. Looking forward to the show. Thank you. Victoria at Astrolight Paranormal saying hello. Mish, hello. Thank you so much for being here. Hello, James. Thank you so much for being here. The Wiz is in the room. Sandy Cordick, we have been talking a lot about PEI making a trip, so I'm happy that you're here. Thank you, Stephanie Malo. Did you do the breath with me when I took that breath in? Take the deep breath in and ground. Julie Dow, thank you so much for being here. Good evening, James. Have a wonderful show tonight. Thanks for chiming in from the other room in the house. Terry Hankra, thank you so much. Hello, hello, hello. Happy Friday. Denise Smits, yes, welcome back, Asria. It's always a pleasure having Asria on the show. Mish is sharing, I made a unicorn horn organite and have it in water, 3 to 4 year old moon water, still not moldy, glass jar too. That's amazing. Hi, Trisha. Thank you so much for being here. Jennifer Lynn, hello, my friend. Debbie Bean, Jackie White, welcome back, Asria. Fiona Clark, thank you so much for being here. If you are new and you didn't see part 1 or part 2 with Asria. Asria tapped into the different family members to take a peek at generational, to see if there was going to be patterns within our family structure that would show up. And so with part 1, we explored that cosmic ancestry. So we explored cosmic ancestry. And then we did the live results with my mom. And I know that some of you know that my mom was not well over the holidays, and we're sending some healing energy her way. So I appreciate that. She still could use that little bit of support. So I appreciate everybody that did that. So we did my mom's, and I have to say too, Azra, when we were leading up to that, it was huge for my mom and my niece to agree to it. Because when we talked about aliens before, my niece used to cry. She was so scared about talking about cosmic anything, aliens. It was just so fear-based, what she was used to hearing or seeing through media, right? Very fear-based stuff. And she was so scared. So for her to be brave and vulnerable and participate was just huge. And for my mom too. My mom is quite shy, so it was outside of her comfort zone to be a part of this journey. And my sister just agrees to anything that I want to drag her into. So she just says sure, and then asks what we're doing later. So it was such a big deal for our family structure. And what was amazing for me to see on the other end of it was how my niece embraced all of that, and how my mom really embraced all of that. And the conversation goes quite frequently with my mom too, talking about aliens and connection. And it's really shifted things for my family. So let's start back with the live results that we did with my mom. So what would you most want listeners to understand from that reveal that we did in the first?
I mean, that is incredible. And thank you so much for that amazing feedback, because I know, as you said, there were many, many hesitations. And I mean, this is one of the first times we've done, as you said, that whole kind of group family dynamic. So I found the whole thing very, very exciting. But indeed, from the first one, which was first of all, with doing any energy work, people will then know to getting the acceptance and the approval to go into somebody's energy field in order to start obviously picking up on those frequencies.
Are the frequencies layered?
Yes. So that was first of all a little bit of a challenge for both your mama and your niece, was the first thing. But I think really with what was very, very interesting is that, sorry, I did make a few notes from before, so apologies if I keep on looking down. But
no, it's all good. I'm looking down, reading questions. We're just going to roll with it however we need to today.
I was going to say, it was a couple of months ago, so
it was more than a couple of months.
But I think that, I mean, with Pauline, hers was, I think I've put down here Andromedan and Avian, and obviously with your niece having the Avian as well. So what I found absolutely fascinating, and I do with a lot of my clients as well, is that when we actually start saying, because remember there's a few levels of who the dominant frequency is, so the dominant DNA, then level 2 and level 3. Sometimes we can have up to 7 or 8. But most of the time, we only really focus on the first, say, 2 or 3, because at that moment in time, that is the most dominant frequency within your energy field that is that you are working with at that time. And for hers, it was that mixture of the Andromedan and the Avian. And the feedback that obviously your mom very kindly was giving is that the behavior traits and there was the behavior traits mainly I mean, I've obviously never met your mum or your sister or your niece from Adam. Normally with clients, I have, say, like a 10-15 minute chat first, so I can make that connection. But this was purely based on information and acceptance that I could read them. So first name, surname, date of birth, place of birth. And as I said, most of all, acceptance to read them. And then being able to provide the level of information around behaviors, hobbies, traits. I can just see your mom's face now. It's kind of like, yep, that's me. And I remember even you saying at the time, it was kind of like, Asria's got you down to a T. And I was like, I've never met this lady. And that, so to me, that absolutely warms my heart, because that to me is saying, yes, that link is absolutely there. Does that answer the question, or have I just gone slightly off topic there, Carolyn?
No, I think that answers it perfectly. I think that was such an eye-opener for many people in understanding, and it's not just about having them as guides, it's having them as part of our DNA frequency, and seeing the DNA frequency as our DNA frequencies are layered as well and overlap. There's not just this one. We have these multidimensional DNA frequencies. And that was it was a hard concept for me to wrap my head around at first. And then afterwards, then it just all made sense. And the same with understanding the character traits and the qualities, and understanding their soul families. Like it's family units too, it's not that it's a guide, it's a family unit.
Yeah, so I think in answer to that, there's the two elements. So the first, as you were mentioning there, it's that multidimensional architecture. So we're not necessarily just limiting ourselves to being like one starseed or one race. And with the time and the space that we're in at the moment, it's being able to bring our awareness and bringing our awareness as to what is actually within our capability of tuning into. And said what I'm then doing is going, right, you do have that frequency in there to actually start utilizing and tuning into a little bit more. Because I think I remember mentioning a story with a client who I had before, when you were mentioning there around the family unit. So moving across to that is we've gone from identifying the frequency of that race of being, and we know that there's races within races of beings. And now I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, we'll just keep it at a higher level. But one of the things that we do within the session now, if we were to go down this deeper, what we then sometimes find is, so for an example, here we've got, as I said, Pauline, who was avian, and then your niece who was avian as well. Potentially, I'm not saying it's definite, but what my guides, so the scholars who I work with, sometimes show me a tiny little movie of where those two individuals have been off planet or on different galaxies. An example would be a wonderful client who I had a couple of months ago. I didn't know that she didn't tell me before the session that everyone had been telling, oh no, you're Pleiadian. It was only after when I said that she was actually Atlantean, and she said, I knew it, but everyone's always told me I have the more of the frequency and more of the energy of a Pleiadian. Said, no, you were in a particular star system at a particular time helping out the Andromedans. And again, then we start going into more of the history, more of the background, and potentially linking those two beings together in the place and the time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. What I found interesting leading up to, I think it was part two when we talked about mine and my sister's, correct?
Yes.
Prior to that, and it's just the way that it all worked out, I had a Life Between Lives session with Marilyn Kaufman, and who has been a guest on the show a number of times. And during that experience with Marilyn, I had a cosmic guide step in and move me. It was a wild session, that Life Between Lives. And where that guide was showing me where I had come from came up in the information that you found, which was crazy. It was so crazy to have had that session with Marilyn, and then you tap into it without knowing that I had that session.
That was, I think that was really special. And I believe that was around the felines, if I remember rightly.
Yeah. Lumerians.
Lumerians, I beg your pardon. And because again, that's exactly as we've been saying, because that is the frequency and the energy that at this space in time is the most dominant, what is the most that we're unconsciously utilizing and tuning into. Because obviously when we do come to this planet, we kind of like get this off switch. I think even like Dolores Cannon said, most of like her clients were like, before they come here, going, I'm going to remember. And then as soon as we pop out, we go,
yeah,
don't remember.
We spend
but luckily with the new generation, they are remembering a lot more, which is good.
Michelle, I think you would love it. Michelle Plummer is saying, I'd love to try this with Asria. I bet it will bring some clarity. It really does. We just had, the beginning parts to what you do. You go much deeper and more in depth and more layered. We were did that introductory kind of part to introduce people to it and to see what would show up in generations. Yes, Mish, the machine from Men in Black is real. That click flash, you will not remember. It was swamp gas. Yes, very interesting. You use these terms, Asria. Star Lineage Transmissions, Multidimensional Guidance and Healing. All of those are terms that you use. So when we're looking at the part 1 and part 2, how does that all come together, like in real time?
Yeah, absolutely. So if I've understood that correctly, so with the transmissions, and I think this is a really key point, so thank you, is that it is all around the language. So a lot of people do channelings, a lot of people say they get downloads. Some people say it's like intuitive. They just know something intuitively. In my experience, it's all the same thing. The way that I see it within the work that I do with energy and my star beings is I call it transmissions. And the reason I call it transmissions is because I see myself as a radio. Sounds really bizarre, and it's tuning into those different frequencies. And over the past 5, 6, 7, 8 years, I've learned by working with different people the different frequencies of different races.
Yeah.
So, like in the old style where you used to turn the knob on the front of the radio and you go, right, that's radio 1, that's radio 2, that's radio 3. I'm going, that's Lemurian, that's Lyran, that's Atlantean, that's I also get a feeling within my body as well.
I think it was Lyrans, now that we're saying that. It was Lyrans with me, not Lemurians. You were right the first time. It was me that was incorrect. And
Yeah,
I understand what you're saying, because when I'm working, angels have a certain frequency. My loved ones in spirit have a different frequency. When the multidimensional guides, so the off-worlders, they have a different frequency. Fairies have a different frequencies. Mermaids, working with all those different beings have different frequencies. And I feel the more that you learn about tapping into frequency, you drop the label. You just know because of the frequency that you're tapping into, and you get less stressed about trying to name it.
Yeah.
You just know what it is.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And then what then happens is that, so as you said, in real time, so it would be either sitting with someone anywhere, as the clients are international. And then once you get that acceptance, then I spend time and tune in to that field and then see what are the frequencies that I'm picking up on. And said, then it's really a triangulated approach, because to me, just getting a frequency, I was like, nah, need to try a bit harder. So it's a three-pronged approach. To me, it's one of my team will stand forward. So depending on who the race is, because the scholars are made up of, I think it's about 30 plus of them now. I said through the years that the group has been getting bigger. I will get a reaction in my body of some description. Lyran to me, well, feline is very strong. For example, reptilian would be I go cold. And then the third one will be if I'm using the unifier, that will move. Or now I'm not using that particular tool as much now because I've sort of grown in knowledge and confidence, as you were just saying there, Carolyn. You know. And so
I love that for you.
When that information comes through, it's then going, well, what else? Again, how the work is now progressing is kind of like, what else does this person maybe need to know? How can they? Because again, this goes back to you. I'm the radio, I'm the messenger to say these are potentially the frequencies within you. Now it's the integration of if that aligns with you, if that feels right for you. Because I've had clients before going, their dominant one, they'll go, maybe, but the second one, they go, yeah, that feels right. And then like a month or so later, I'll get a phone call going, Asria, you said.
I love those sort of emails and phone calls. I know I shouldn't, but I do. Because it feels like a holy cow moment for us too. Like, what the heck? Wow. Like we have those moments too. Contessa is just sharing. I read some Edgar Casey, and do you think he is correct when he wrote that people born from 1957 to 1977 would be highly intuitive or psychic, that these children were advanced souls? I say yes.
I also say yes, because we did have, and I can't remember who originally noted it, that obviously you get the different waves, they call it, as I'm being told. You get the different waves of people. So like, for example, it really started in like 1940s, and then again it carried on because it's building up on those frequencies. Every wave, I think there was like the crystal children and then the violet and so on and so forth, that started from probably before the 1940s, but my knowledge kind of just goes back to then. And that's why the children coming in now are I think they're called something like the hybrid something. I can't really remember, because as we're saying, they are way more, their knowledge isn't necessarily getting switched off. So I absolutely agree with yourself there, Contessa, and Edgar Casey.
What is one place that you feel people may misinterpret during these kind of conversations? Do you think that
well, when I'm sharing the information, sorry.
Yeah, how to keep it grounded, like how to keep that information grounded for them, and what maybe people will misinterpret through this these kind of
I think
conversations?
that's a really great question. I think it goes back to what you were saying earlier around labels. Because this isn't labeling you. This isn't just saying, well, you are this, you are that. I do not have the right to tell you who or what you are.
Right.
And this isn't going to say, right, this is a fix, or because we are, as I said, multidimensional beings. And it's not I'm not limiting you, and you're not just one race.
Right.
I mean, yes, okay, we do have kind of like when people align to being a particular star seed, 100%. Your soul may have been born in that particular galaxy or planetary system, but actually we have gone through many different lifetimes and places, and we hold all that information in our DNA, and it's that is giving off these frequencies. That is what I'm picking up on, because our DNA is kind of like a database. And what we're learning, and what we're learning even more and more, and science is picking up on this as well. And I know you had a really, really wonderful lady on a couple of months back, and I'm really sorry I can't remember her name, who was fascinating, because I said it's science and spirituality that's really starting to come together, which is so incredibly fascinating. But it's around us now bringing our awareness to on what we actually hold in us, and how we're tuning into it, and how we're using it, and how we can pull on those energies, pull on those abilities, pull on those powers, pull on that knowledge. At the same time as going in, rather than keep on looking for stuff on the outside, it's going into that heart consciousness, going in back into yourself.
So that sounds like it's answering the question that I was about to ask you about. So, which is great. Kudos on that intuitive answer. About a single most actionable takeaway, from that the listeners can take from or apply immediately from that part 1 and part 2, right? Like part 1 and part 2 that we did, like an actionable takeaway without necessarily having to have a DNA reading. Like, what can people tap into to understand? Or, I mean, we all think that you should book an appointment with Asria and tap into it that way and get your DNA reading. But is there something they can do prior to that to lean into it on their own?
Oh, 110%. I think that's a really great question, because at the end of the day, as I was saying before, I mean, this just gives you a little bit of a roadmap as to the energies that are there. But that's not to say you can't start discovering what they are yourself. So I love that question.
Yeah.
Because it's all about our own work. So it's, and I'm going to keep it higher level, because otherwise I'll go down a rabbit hole and we'll be here for 5 hours. But
we've got one more.
Heart consciousness. It's really starting to regulate that nervous system. So it's starting to settle everything down. So when you do start getting those intuitive messages, when you do start tuning into those different vibrations and frequencies, you know what's right for you. And because it's quiet in the mind. I'm not saying you have to go and do mindfulness retreats or anything like that, because again, it's different for everybody. But the main takeaway, I think, from as you said, part 1 and part 2 is really listening to yourself and going, what do I like? What do I feel? Because it was the information I was sharing with, you said, with Carolyn, with Pauline, with your sister and your niece. But at the end of the day, I could have been saying anything. but it's what was said was resonating with them, how they felt. How did it feel for them? What was right for them? What did they take away?
I find, and then accessing, so looking at, I was with the other, I think it was the example that you had given as well too, like what your hobbies are and the things that you're drawn to. So when we're so focused, or at this point, the conversations lead us to past lives. So now we're asking people to go deeper than just a past life and to think dimensional, that these hobbies and interests and characteristics in who we are as a healer, a warrior, an activist, any of those things are attached multidimensionally.
Yeah, because as you rightly were saying there, around if you have a strong feeling towards a particular race of being, it might just start off with one. Have a look, as Carolyn was saying, have a look into, there's so much information out there. So this is why I was saying it's good to see what resonates with you. So if you feel a strong pull towards one particular race, have a look into it. What is their core belief system?
More than Pleiadians, folks. There is more than Pleiadians.
Yes. Yeah, I think at the minute there's been at least 102 different races that have been identified. There's probably more. I don't read too much. I just pick up myself. But yeah, and again, when we talk about disclosure, to me, disclosure has already happened, because this is in our everyday language around different beings and the different races of beings. So going back to like oneself, have a look at, okay, well, this information is saying this about this particular being. How does that feel for me? Where does that resonate for me?
So when we're talking about multidimensional guides, what do you include in that category? And what do you explicitly not include in multidimensional guides? So ancestors, star families, spirit guides, higher self, like what do you include when you say multidimensional guide, and what do you exclude? What do you explicitly not include?
Me personally, and I think again, language here is very, very important. But me personally, if you were talking about multidimensional guides, it will be those different race of beings. Because then if you're talking about the angelic realm, that's the angelic realm. If you're talking about ancestors, that's ancestors. If you're talking about spirits, you're talking about spirits. But again, it means different things to different people. So this is what it means to me. It might mean slightly something different to somebody else. And you know what? No, we're not wrong. I'm not wrong. You're not wrong. Everyone's not wrong. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's what does that mean for you? So I really love that question, because I was having a conversation with somebody a couple of weeks ago, and we were both technically talking about the same thing, but we were both calling something completely different names.
Yeah, I find that happens a lot. So if we talk about how do you define star origins and soul contracts in a way that doesn't bypass personal responsibility?
Oh, good question. So sorry, say that one again.
Yep. How do you define star origins and soul contracts in a way that doesn't bypass personal responsibility? Like we still have responsibility and accountability, but how do you define it?
So the first one will be the one, as you said, where we lived in different galaxies, different soul systems. And then the other one would be very much the case of what we agreed to when we come down here. I mean, there are various different soul contracts as well. But yeah, that's, to me, that would be the difference with the two. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Tanya Martins, hello. Thank you for being here. I'm really sorry if you guys can hear Bruce. He's deciding to be very vocal from the other room. Okay. What are your top 3 markers of clean contact versus imagination, anxiety, or projection?
Oh, I love that one. Me personally,
And what do we mean
it's
by contact? Clear contact.
clear
Three markers
contact
of,
would
three markers of
be 3 markers for clear contact would be it's more of a feeling than a voice. So you feel it everywhere in your being. It's not just here.
Right.
The second clear would be I get an image of the 2 main guides that I work with, and so if I don't get them, it's a no. And thirdly, I will get whatever my sign is, either just before or just after.
So would you suggest to people to really learn to identify what their strongest clear would be, like their strongest sense? And is that how it would come through first? Or it could be very different, like instead of, well, I guess C could be dream time too. Like frequency is such a weird thing, right? Like to explain what that feels like, but it really does feel different. I've tried to when I've taught this, or how I teach it to people, is if you put your hand over your heart, take a deep breath in, and long, slow exhale out, and ask Archangel Michael to pull into the room and connect his heart space to yours and yours to his. And what does that feel like in the first few seconds? And then you say, thank you very much, and please take a step back. And then ask Grandma, who's on the other side, to step in and ask her to connect her heart space to yours and yours to hers. And what does that frequency learn? So you start to feel comfortable with the different frequencies. But you could also ask your spirit guide that's currently your highest teacher guide or joy guide or whatever feels right for you to be the gatekeeper, and always come back to that as the neutral, I suppose. I mean, that's how I try to encourage people to understand, to open up to frequencies and how they feel, and how they feel different, and how they feel it in their body. Yeah, the other way that I try to explain it is like if you're a meat eater and you've had your big turkey dinner and you're half asleep on the couch after dinner, that you recognize who's coming into the room because you understand their frequency. Like you understand who's coming into the room because you're feeling that energy and their frequency first.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. And I think, 100% hand on heart first. But also, I think it also comes down to, how can you say this? It also comes down to the point of when we are talking and starting to work with the multidimensional beings. As I've said before, for me personally, this has been over quite a large space in time.
Yes.
Because they won't, and this, please correct me if I'm wrong here, Carolyn, is that they won't, and it's kind of like a universal law, come in and do anything if your energy is not ready, because when their vibration, their frequency is so much higher.
Yeah.
So if they were to start coming in and connecting, like, go, right, I'm on my spiritual journey, I've got to this point, I'm expecting to see things, hear things, have brilliant conversations. Nah.
Yeah.
So again, it's not doing it once a week or once every 2 or 3 weeks and expecting to, because again, I think it does come down to expectations. When you think, oh, but my friend's done da 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 da, or oh, how can you do it and I can't do it?
Yeah.
So I think there is that level of expectation as well. But when we are talking about connecting in with those frequencies of those beings, and I absolutely love the way that you do it, and I would completely agree and start off that way myself. Hand on heart, breathing in, setting the intention.
Yeah.
Which I think you mentioned there as well. It's setting that intention. It's making that connection up. So it's sending that white light up. It's doing whatever level of calming and protection, because if your nervous system is in fight mode, then again, it's being aware of your own energy and frequency and vibration first. Because even for me, if I'm in a level of, you know what, I'm really, really tired, or I've got a headache, or whatever the case may be, and I don't feel energized enough, I won't do it.
Yeah, it makes a difference.
Yeah. So it's what is being aware of your own personal energy and space first, and then start moving into it. And as you said, you can do it, say, 2 or 3 times in one day, have a rest, and then maybe the next day. But it's this progress over time.
That's right. And you start to understand that we have a 24/7 flow. It is just like that radio,
100%.
we're turning it on and up, or we're turning it down and off. That is constantly there. It's just, you know, whether we're open or closed. I always say, I'm opening up now. I'm open for business. Come on in. Take a breath. Whoop, here we go. Let's roll. And we're leaning into the conversation, or the conversation's unfolding exactly how I was hoping, because we're going to move into a question about discernment next as well too. Thank you, James, for reminding me about this station ID. I appreciate you, Wiz, when you do that for me. Heidi Gould, thank you so much for stopping in and saying hello. I'm very sorry to hear that you're not feeling well today, and if you're open to it, you know, if you give us permission, or give me permission, we'll send you some healing energy your way if you're open to that. And we'll do the station ID really quickly too. So if you are just joining us now, thank you so much for being here. You are listening to Spirit Switchboard, and I'm your host, Carrie Lynn Shellhorn. You are listening to us live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 in the Gulf Coast, 107.7 FM in beautiful New Orleans. I'd like to thank Joe Montaldo, our station owner, our network owner, and Michelle DeRoche, our network manager, for all of the work and things that they do for us to make things run smooth and lovely. If you would like to find out more about our network and our hosts and shows, you can go to uparantalkradio.com. Can find out more about the host shows, all the new shows that are coming up. There is something for everyone. It's not all high strangeness and paranormal. You can also access the thousands of archives of past shows as well too. Today's guest is returning fan favorite, Asria Beckham, and we are talking about cosmic DNA lineages and our multidimensional guides. Thanks for coming back, Asria. So what we had chatted about prior to our little bit of a break there, you had been on the show. We did 2-part series. Tonight is part 3. We tapped into the DNA frequencies for my mom, my sister, my niece, and myself, just to see what patterns and discoveries would be made in having a family structure being open, and how those qualities and lineages what patterns would unfold. And I found it fascinating. And we did find some patterns within the family structure. So that was exciting to be able to find that.
Yeah, I think with the patterns, just to covering that off really, is that as you said, it's all about that collective contract as well. And obviously we have come down to this planet mainly to anchor in those frequencies as well. So again, when we could do a whole big thing around what is a family, and as you said, those contracts as well. But with your wonderful selves, there were those similarities in beings, especially around the Lyrans was very prominent across. So again, there may have been definitely past connections there, but again, we would then need to go into that work a lot deeper. But it's just what the takeaway from those sessions were as well, which was absolutely incredible. So thank you.
Oh, it was great. and like I said, it was life-changing for my niece, because her fear of talking about anything alien, just having stuff show up on a social media feed would literally scare her into tears. Like, and that she agreed and she did all of this was amazing, and it did help her view it from a different lens and be able to accept and integrate the information that you had to share. So it was really brilliant. I wanted to step into discernment. So what are your non-negotiable discernment checks before you treat guidance as actionable? So instead of taking the information, like what filters do you use? Timing, consistency, how your body responds to the guidance that you're receiving.
So that's a really good question. I think for me, it comes down to trust. Because when I do fully go into a session, there is a level, there is the transmission, but a lot of it will be coming actually through more as a bit of more of a channel. So it will be the direct messages from those particular beings, and I absolutely trust what is coming through when it is working with an individual. Sorry to interrupt you.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Does it come in fast and quick?
Yeah.
When I receive information, it's boom, it's there. Sometimes before I'm done even asking the question, information is already popping in. So I know I'm in that space.
Yeah.
When it flows like that, I know that there's something that's kind of needing some work or understanding. If it starts to sound like this, if it starts to sound like the teacher from Charlie Brown or something that we need to work on, and then pull it up or clear or heal or move, and then we're able to be in that fast pace.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I've been doing readings and that for years, and I remember even like years ago, one of my first readings I ever did, I was telling this woman about dancing with Fred Astaire, and she said that's what she was doing. And in my mind, I was saying, what the hell is going on? So it really is that way. So it is a level of trust, but most importantly, it's when we start going into that session, having that overview of what is, as we mentioned earlier, where is that person's energy? What space are they in? What is going on for them at the moment? Because when we look at these sessions, it's not to go in and fix anything. And some people sometimes come and go, right, I need to know this and I need to know that. So it's what is the intention? Again, I do sound like a broken record, but most of this comes down to the three main steps: is what is the intention of going into this session? What is it that person would like to know? How are they then going to integrate this information? But I think going back to your question is that, yeah, for me, it very much does come down to trusting the information that comes through. Because even if I do a session that's not face-to-face initially, and I record everything that's coming through, like I was saying earlier with the film set, that wasn't necessarily in the one-to-one session. That was the work I was doing before to then pass the information on. Similarly, like we done on part 1 and part 2, is there was the information that came through, and then we came on screen and shared it in that way. And it's just really understanding the level of understanding that person may have around energies, spirituality, the beings, the connections. So rather than maybe going into dialogue where they're just going to sit there with a great big question mark on their face, but again, that's where I link in with my team and go, right, you know this person better than I do. Have at it.
Right. So with the extraterrestrial beings or species, I think I'm going to use the word species, but that feels kind of, I don't know. Is that a rude word to use?
No.
I don't know if that feels like a rude word. Because there's so many that you are meeting and understanding. Are there different focuses with each species, like different focus of healing, different focus of characteristics, qualities, or purpose? Even purpose, I think, is probably the word that I feel I'm wanting to use, and how that integrates. So are each of those species different levels of frequency that we would have to integrate? Okay. Can you talk more about that? I feel like
yeah, absolutely. So the integration part, I think, is really interesting, and it's really only something that I've started to work with over the past few months, because before it was sort of passing on the information and to say, right, these are the dominant frequencies. But now, as you said, people are now sort of coming back going, this is really great. So how do I now take this forward? And it is, as you were saying earlier, those aha moments. Yeah. So once the information is passed on around who the beings are, as I said, a little bit more around the behaviors, as you said, what they're assigned to, it's those aha moments. And that already changes that person's energy and frequency, because that awareness and perception, it's kind of like a little light bulb has gone off inside. Yeah. Or that strand of DNA with that frequency has suddenly gone. I hate using the word activated because it was never switched off.
Yeah.
But you're more aware of it.
Yeah. Agreed.
And then from there, it's from those aha moments, I usually ask, well, how did that feel? Getting that information, it's a slight rhetorical question. If the person wants to share, they can. But it's kind of like, how did that feel within you? And then from there, it's kind of like, okay, well, there might be the case of, I think for an example, with the felines, there is a level of the divine feminine there. So it might be that they're linking in with that energy a little bit more. It could be the case of maybe with the Andromedans, that there is a different level of knowledge that they're linking into. So with the integration, I mean, again, there's so many different ways in which we can take this, because again, I'm trying in a way to not limit. It's not limiting yourself to say there is only like a certain pattern per, as you said, per race. Yeah. Because for each of us, it's quite individual.
Do you find people, are there times where people give their power away and you have to redirect them back into their sovereignty, like where they are, when they get into this space, that they I'm not phrasing this right. You know, I feel like I'm going to step into a big pile of poo right now.
Step into a big pile of poo.
Like sometimes people get so love and lighty that they're so airy-fairy, they're not grounded in who they are here. So this is about incorporating, not becoming. Do you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How do you redirect someone who may be kind of fallen off the edge into that space? How do you help ground them into incorporating that without going too far off the deep end?
And we've all been there. Yeah, all been there, 100%. And I think, as you said, it is kind of very much, and I might be stepping in a big pile of poop here, but
we'll do it together.
It is the case of it's the whole love and light brigade. Nothing can touch me. I'm fine. I've done all my inner work. I'm untouchable, kind of. and that's fine if that is your belief and that is where you are, absolutely fine. But I agree with your question to the point of, as you said, bringing that back down to earth. And how do you then go about your everyday life while still integrating? So it's almost as though you want to keep the connection but keep your foot on the floor at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really difficult. Again, I'm a bit like you. I'm trying to find the words not in a negative way, because we can look at grounding in many different forms. That, I don't know. I'm struggling with this one a bit, in all honesty.
That's okay. That's okay. Okay, we can shift gears. If somebody wanted to connect, sorry, did you want to shift gears? Yeah. We can shift gears.
Can we? Because sure. Again, I think if you are in that thought and you are in that energy of everything is love and light, to me, that is quite dangerous. And you have, as you said, given your sovereignty out, you have kind of gone, everything's airy-fairy. So it is the case of the universe will show you at some point, is what I get.
Yeah. And when we're talking about giving your power away, I have a very clear line when I have clients that, I don't want them coming repeatedly to ask their loved ones on the other side to tell them what to do. We still are the ones that are here having to have accountability for the choices that we make. Our thoughts, words, deeds, and actions matter. And so when we're looking at it multidimensionally with cosmic multidimensional guides, or our off-worlders, or aliens, however you are wanting to whichever term resonates for you, that you are still the one that is here having this experience and have responsibilities, obligations, and accountability. So not giving our power away that way. So I think trust is part of it as well too, trusting the path and the healthy boundaries. We still need healthy boundaries, right? Because they won't know. I don't know. You work with the cosmic guides way more than I do, or multidimensional beings way more than I do. So I know that I've had guides come in that presented in a way that appeared uncomfortable, where I would catch my breath. So I'd catch my breath, and then immediately that connection shuts down, right? If we're not in that relaxed space. So here's me going, can you please come in tall, dark, handsome, and smell like cookies? And then we're good to go.
That's nice.
Please, that's not working for me. Because if we don't tell them that it's not working, they think it's working and they keep doing it. So we won't do the work unless we're relaxed enough. So, how does that work with off-world beings and cosmic guides? Because do you see where I'm going with that? Can you give them direction? Because do you still have control and power? It's still your body, your vessel, and you're the one doing the work. So we still have control in how we are interacting with them.
Yeah. There is one thing, as you rightly said, called free will.
Yes.
And that is unbreakable by any level of frequency being. And this is where, as you rightly said, it's bringing you back to your sovereignty. I mean, I've had or known people within the spiritual community where, and again, this might be a slightly different rabbit hole, but I'll continue with it anyway, is that, I mean, I've experienced both sides, like you were saying, the really low D words, the demonic side, to the most amazing high frequency beings. So from one to the other. And I've heard people in the spiritual community over the past 30 odd years that said, no, if I don't put my awareness on lower level beings or the negative ones. They don't exist and they won't hurt me. You're leaving yourself open. So yes, absolutely.
You only need to have one experience to know.
Yeah, exactly. So this is where we're bringing our own sovereignty back to go, right, what feels right for me? So, because I said, some of the information that I tell you, you could say, yeah, okay, Asria, some of that resonates, some of that doesn't. Perfectly fine. But as you rightly said, you can also get those individuals who keep on coming back to you going, well, you've told me this, but this hasn't happened. You've told me that, and that hasn't happened.
Well, more so really like that they're giving their power away, that they're wanting their loved ones to tell them what to do. And they may see potential outcomes, but we still have to make that choice. They may see something coming up for them, but needing to, and even they have rules there as well too. They you know, they're only allowed to intervene to a certain point because we have free will, because we have to have accountability.
Yeah. And as I was saying earlier around with the different beings as well, is that through your journey and where your frequency lies, you will have that connection to a point where your energy is ready to accept it. You're not necessarily going to go from, okay, having connection, or being able to feel frequency at that level, and then all of a sudden you're feeling a frequency at that level.
So people who don't see or see, for people who don't see or hear,
lower and higher. Sorry, beg your pardon.
What would be your favorite, or do you have favorite non-visual or non-auditory cues? Like
to me it's kind of like, if you're looking at a visual, a really good one I would say is like if you're in a big like large building that's got like 25 floors, and say you're only on level 5 and you're wanting to connect to somebody who's on level 25. So you're working your way up, and every time you're working your way up, you're connecting to a higher level of being. Fantastic. That would be sort of the visual. So for me, it's taken me years to kind of work that up and change my frequency and work with my energy in order to so like you've got the building next to you, and maybe you're in one building on level 5 and they're on level 25 in the opposite building. So you need to get up to that level in order to start talking to them.
So for
that's really how it works.
For folks that are listening, or folks that are in the chat who don't have that, are not tapped into those clairs as maybe their strongest clairs, can they ask, so their cosmic or multidimensional guides no differently than how they would ask, you know, how they see ascended masters, or how they see angels, and asking for synchronicities or signs and symbols, or dream time. Can that guidance come through from their multidimensional guides in the same ways?
Yeah. I mean, we are all connected. So
is there a way of asking the question?
You were saying earlier, like when you were saying earlier, people come back to you again and again and again, because as you said, they're wanting that direction for somewhere else.
Oh no, they don't come because I don't do that.
But it's the case of, I mean, if everyone can be connected, and as you said, it's just, and everyone, I believe, has all of their clairs open. It's just your intention of going, right, I want to use that particular one. So with the multidimensional beings and connecting to them and asking them for guidance, you need to, I see it as ordering at a restaurant. So when you want to connect to them, you need to tell them how, when, and where, and how.
Yes.
So it's like going to a restaurant and say, right, I'd like to order pasta, please. Do you want lasagna? Do you want ravioli? Do you want so I really want to connect with you. How?
Yeah.
Do you want it via a visual? Do you want it by a smell? Do you want it? Again, it's that free will element.
Right. And how we're giving them permission. I talk about that when we do seances as well too, like giving spirits the direction. You have permission to use my energy, you have permission to touch me, or you don't, like giving them the direction. So permission and protection as well too. And what your intention. So all of those, I guess, depends on how you want to prioritize them, but all of those things are important.
Before I go into any session, I will say a particular, some people would call it a prayer, some people would call it an affirmation, but it's exactly that. It's the permission. It's going, I am now in this space, in this energy. This is what I'm going to be doing. So any low level negative energies are not welcome.
Do you have a framework?
Give permission.
Do you have a framework for asking better questions so the guidance is clear?
Yes.
Can you share? Like instead of just tell me everything?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just tell me everything?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because trust me, this neurodivergent brain will not be able to take too much information. That's why it's taken me so long to get this far.
So is it about being specific? Like, so can you talk about that? Like asking how to ask better questions so the guidance is clear, because people get that a lot, or, people comment about that a lot too. I'm getting high pitched ringing sound in my ear all the time, but I don't understand what the message is, or I'm receiving this, but I don't understand what the message is. And, my response to those sorts of comments are always like, tell them they think it's working that way. So you need to tell them that it's not working and ask them to show you in a way that's going to work. Well, how does it work best for you? So, asking, and is there a way of asking better questions? Like when I do sessions, I have a very clear structure so that it unfolds like a story. So I can get in and hook in and get the evidential and then the guidance. And, like I like it that way. So is there a structure or a way of doing it to receive information from our cosmic guides the same way?
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that, because again, it is all around intention. So you are then going, okay, so if, as you said, we're like ringing in the ears or whatever the case may be, it's because there's normally a level of expectation. So where our human mind is going, maybe it's about work or it's about money or it's about relationships. Actually, remember, they see the much bigger picture and there is no such thing as time there. So there might be the case of there's information coming about something completely and utterly different. Because I've had that before. When I first started, there was information that was coming through that actually was relevant in probably about 4 years' time. So it was then being very specific, going in the here and now.
That's helpful for people to know.
To me, it's, so what, again, with the tuning into the different frequencies of the different beings within that energy field, to me, that is the dominant frequency that is there now. That is what you are working with now. Gotcha. In the next week, 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, you are doing so many different things each and every single day. Your energy is changing every day. Your environment, there's so many different things around that actually, and your spiritual progress has changed. So maybe in the next month or 2 months, those dominant ones that was there right there now, actually in the next few months may have changed slightly. Maybe your second dominant has now become your most dominant.
Right. That makes sense. Can you walk us through a sample 3-question ladder?
A 3-question ladder would be something along the lines of So it would first be the actual frequency itself. Then it would be what is it that the person needs to know? And then what is the priority now? Right now in this time and space. Sorry, my language is probably a lot longer,
Right.
but yeah.
Would an important question be, what do I need to release?
It could be. So when we're doing the DNA sessions, it's more about the linking in with that particular being. I think when we're talking about healing and releasing and questions, that's more around the work much later on, once the information around those particular beings has started to be processed. That goes into more of the reading later on down the line, because we're not necessarily within those sessions doing healing, releasing, and readings. So you do the energy transmissions first, and then as we move, because there's several different types. So you can do like the level 1, which is just telling you what those frequencies are. The level 2 is what the frequencies are and a little bit more information that's coming through. Or then what clients are starting to come to more now is the more in-depth work, like for an example, the family linkages, even though, I just said one. But then it's then doing more of the integration work, where we can then start asking the questions, as you're rightly saying there, Caroline, around healing, releasing, any further questions as part of that integration work.
So when they're doing the integration work, do you see tangible behavioral changes?
Yes.
Love that. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Tangible changes. So we can on the website, there's I say between a sort of 3 to 6 week program, but that's not necessarily 3 weeks or 6 weeks. That can be spread over months. Again, it's more adapted to that individual and what they're comfortable with. Right. So, for example, in the beginning, there will be the passing on of the information around the transmissions of those frequencies. And then sometimes by week 6 or 7, then the person, I mean, I'm thinking about one client in particular where her confidence came in and her confidence was quite low. She came in not really understanding she's the most amazing dowser with pendulums that I've seen. She knows, and there's wisdom and information that is coming through that even shocks her, because it's coming from a place within her that she sort of, as I said, unlocked. So there was another lady who the other day, one of her clairs has very much come online. I think it was clairaudience, but because there was little dots in that she was seeing, and everyone was going, no, it's not seeing, it's more hearing. But her expectation was, I want to see, but actually she was getting more this way than this way. So again, I could go into so many different stories, but at the end of the day, it's more about your personal journey. I'm just there as a little bit of a as the teacher in the middle, making you aware of what is there and what is possible, right? As well as you said later on in the session, doing the healing and releasings.
It's about intention as well too, right? Like if it's health concerns, relationships, or boundaries, like all the same things that you focus on with other guides, you could focus on with them as well too, on that multidimensional space, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk about strengthening our connection to our guides without escalating fear? Like I'm just thinking back to my niece Maya, right? Like, so how we can open up without, for me, I know that it's just stuck in my head, and I know that it comes from media. But if you say reptilian, immediately my hackles go up. Yeah, no. Like it just, and I know that it's my Chihuahua brain. I know that it is from media and fear farming as well too. So I understand all of that. And like everything else, there's good eggs and bad eggs. So, how can you, or what suggestions do you have recommendations do you have for strengthening that connection without escalating fear?
Well, one of the things I very much got through was with her was more the connection with the birds, with the avians, but in itself, the biggest message is not necessarily, and I'm probably putting myself out of business here, but it's not about the individual race. As you said, it's more about the malevolent and benevolent, but it's having that confidence within yourself and sending up that light, because it's going directly to source. So if you are strengthening that connection, again, you can do your prayers or your affirmations or whatever it is that you do. And it's going, again, like you were saying earlier, Carolyn, is hand on the chest. And you send up that beam of white light or golden light or whatever color it is that you want. And you're sending it straight up. And you're setting that intention. To me, that's step number one. Because that is kind of like just sending a little light up. Because remember, there's thousands and millions of us here. And so you're basically putting your torch on and going, I'm here and I'd like to connect with you, please. And it's having that intention of saying, I'm connecting to those higher dimension vibrational beings who are connected and linked with me. And so we're not necessarily going, I'm connecting into this one, I'm connecting into that one. There might be a reptilian there, etc. So, and I think that is, to me, quite the most comforting way of doing it. If people are just sort of starting, but it's the lady, Maya in particular, I think with that, it's the looking into the birds as well. So I know obviously it's winter where you guys are at the moment, but as the weather starts getting better, is sitting outside. So if you do feel, and if any of the listeners maybe, again, this is all a maybe, you don't have to do anything, but have that connection with the avians. It's sitting outside and putting that intention of connecting with, we've got birds on this planet as a start. See what they do, see what their reactions are.
So I want to shift gears, just trying to be mindful of our time and the questions that I wanted to get to in the time that we have remaining. A lot of people are very focused on generational healing. So many people also come in as the pattern breakers within their family structure. So they're the ones that are, okay, buck stops here. We're not going to continue this pattern within our family structure anymore. So what does that so it's kind of a two-part question. So healing the line, what does that, in your work, what does that look like? Or, what changes do you see, or how does that work for you? Like if you're healing generational patterns, are there generational frequencies or patterns that happen with our cosmic DNA frequencies as well too? Like where healing needs to happen that way? And then if you had, stabilizers to avoid burnout, because most people that are the pattern breakers eventually hit a burnout. So if you have some thoughts about that.
Absolutely. So I think with the pattern breakers, that one of the biggest things is, and as you said, because you do get tired, is it is okay to rest. And I found that one of the biggest things, because when you do, there are changes that are being made, there's upgrades that are happening, there is so much going on when you do rest. So even if you think, oh no, I need, like, keep pushing yourself, giving yourself permission to do that, because there is more going on than you might than you may be able to perceive.
There's value in resting.
Yeah. So even whatever rest is for you, and also be aware of your heightened senses within that time as well, because as those patterns are breaking, your energy is lifting. So be aware of sensitivities. But just going back to the first part of the question, sorry, is my view on that would be, not that it doesn't matter, because I don't want to diminish it or demean it, but time is, a human concept. They don't necessarily see time. So everything that has gone before, you are the breaker. It's not what's happened before. Does that make sense? So you are basically starting afresh. So if you keep on looking back that way, you're not going to be going that way, as the old thing says. So where you'll keep on looking back, sorry for the listeners, you're not necessarily going to be going forwards.
Right.
So it is all about, and this might seem very simplistic, and I'm meaning for it to be, because I know within myself, I spent so much time keep on going back over various different things within this lifetime and one or two others. And yes, there might be things that do need to be healed. There might be things that blockages and things like that. I'm not completely and utterly dismissing it. Not at all. There is certainly a time and space, but from integrating this work and having those connections with those beings, and having looking more of that multidimensional architecture, and looking into those quantum codings within that DNA, that is a part of the healing, because you're recognizing what is in you, what has always been in you. And that is a part of that healing. So that will then resonate back, because you are on one timeline. You are, well, not one timeline. You are in this one linear movement. So as you are finding what's in here, it's helping to heal everything else. I really hope that made sense.
It does. And I find it's also a pattern in itself. It's its own pattern. Not giving yourself permission to rest. It's its own pattern that happens within family structure, especially with females. I understand completely Mish's sharing. I always feel guilty resting when I know there's stuff to do. It's very hard. And especially when I have written a to-do list that I know is just not even achievable, right? It is not reasonable in any way. I have to keep telling myself, in this moment, this is what I'm doing. And I have to repeat it. Sometimes if I'm having I say I'm having a bad brain day. So it'll be a bad brain day. And
I have a bad brain day like today.
Yeah, having a bad brain day. And so really having to work hard to put all those tools into place. In this moment, this is what I'm doing. In this moment, I'm giving myself permission. In this moment. And because it's changing boundaries with the people around you, right? It's creating new boundaries, and that can be very difficult.
That can be very difficult. And also you can get into the pattern that I've seen people that it's all about, as you said, looking back at the past, and they get into this kind of like healing pattern, of always needing and always wanting to heal. But one of the things that I do when I get into those brain days is I have a to-do list and a to-da list. That's ta-da, this is what I'm actually doing, and to do, it'll happen one day.
Funny. That's funny. That's so funny. I sometimes, I'm admitting this on air. Sometimes I look at the emails because there's just so many emails, and I'm like this. I can handle this one right now. We're just gonna like kind of look at it right now.
Put a sticker over the number of emails.
Yeah. Ta-da! Right, Mish? Ta-da!
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, the to-do list and then the to-da list. The ta-da! I am actually doing this today. Yeah.
So, okay. Gosh, this went by really quickly. Because we can do too much of it, right? Sleep deprivation, constant divination, people hang on to their expectations when they're looking for signs. So like there's lots of things that we do that we create our own boundaries and blocks, right? Okay, this was the question I wanted to ask you. After a big connection, because I know that I get psychic hangovers if I'm not careful too, right? So after a powerful connection experience, what, would people expect for like that next 24-hour period? What would it look like? Or what would you suggest if you've had that kind of powerful connection? Or what is it like for you? Let's do that.
Rest. And
you journal? Are you thirsty?
No.
I need food. No. It always comes down to food for me.
Food. Yep, always food. Definitely has to be a cup of tea and a biscuit. Always cup of tea and a biscuit. And a sugary cup of tea as well, definitely.
Really?
But if you have had
that frequency, sorry, Asria, I know that I'm interrupting you. I'm really sorry. So like, I know when I've been tapping in, so it's an intense day where I've had intense sessions, but my frequency is way up here. So I actually get when I'm coming down, I get, the cold shivers really, really badly. I get really, really and my breath is cold. Like the air could be warm, but my breath is literally cold. And then I need to have something to eat because I get lightheaded and I'm kind of starving. So then I have something to eat and it pulls me down really quickly. I'm grounded. And then I'm just really tired. Then I just want to have no pants on and just be sitting on the couch as chill as possible. Just like, that's where I'm at. So like when, and again, it's very different where you get spiritual people who feel that they're more spiritual than you because whatever, right? And trusting what it is for you. So, figuring it out. What for you, do you have that process of coming down, and what does that look like, and what do you need to recharge, refuel, and allow your spirit to be okay?
Yeah, but I also think it's the preparation as well. So like for me, before I don't really eat. So even if I'm not directly going into a session, but there's going to be some a lot of energy work happening, I will find that I don't really eat before. So again, afterwards, it's quite sugary stuff.
Really?
But also
I'm greasy.
Yeah.
I'm fried foods. I need something.
But then, I think with me, it's having like a blanket. Even in the middle of summer, I have to have a blanket like over my legs, maybe up to my stomach. That then I feel cocooned.
Oh, you're all wrapped in like a burrito.
Yeah. So even if I'm on screen, and again, probably telling everyone, I literally have a blanket wrapped around my legs and probably about 2 pairs of socks on.
I think that's okay to share. Sometimes when I'm doing clients or during the show, I have a bucket of warm water with Epsom salts in it. I have my feet in the water so I can stay grounded and opened at the same time, or clear energy at the same time. So I think that we all do those. We all have those things. But I sorry, I interrupted you again.
No, that's fine. The other thing, sometimes I will sit on a red pillow to keep myself grounded.
Specifically red.
Yeah, specifically red. Especially when I used to do like the psychic fairs and shows and things.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, as you said, being out. So whenever I was out, I'd sit on a red cushion that will have a little bit of salt in it. But usually after, I mean, that's absolutely fascinating. As you said, when you were saying about like the cold breath and everything, that's amazing. But for me, it's always to do with the right side. My right side will feel very different. Even maybe like when we're on screen, sometimes you might see me shrugging the shoulder because there's different kind of feelings and stuff that's going on. So I mean, I've had it to a point where I can't move my right hand and like my right side.
Interesting. When you see me doing this and I got somebody standing behind me talking.
Yeah.
Every time. Or this one, like if I've got a smoker, I do this, and then I've got a smoker with me.
There we go. Yeah. No, I get that one.
But again, folks, it really is over a period of time. Like I've been doing this full time 19 years this year, so full time for 19 years. So, it started off as these little subtle things, and the more that I did it and the consistency, then I understood what I was receiving. So with our multidimensional guides, it's
similar.
Yeah, and our personal healing work matters. Our personal healing work and accountability and what our intentions are. So the more that we take accountability for our emotional and mental health, the easier it is for our vibration to lift into those frequencies.
It is, and it's a lot of it is to do with our nervous system. So it's it's regulating our nervous system, because that does have a huge part to play. And as I said, if I'm say like if you have again, this is for me personally, it might not be for everybody, but say for example there might be something going on in the family, and I'm thinking, no, I'm a little bit too maybe stressed or something like that, because at the end of the day you're still human and still going through different emotions and stuff, then there is no way I'll do a big connection session, because it's just going to take me 2 or 3 times as long either to fully sort of connect in, because my mind, as you said, will be like on a treadmill. I'm kind of thinking what's happening over here and what's happening over here rather than what's happening here. Is your body in fight and flight mode? And also, again, it's maybe going back to food. To me, I wouldn't call myself a vegan or a vegetarian, but like ever since I was 5 years old, I found it really, really difficult to eat meat. Yeah, I mean, as Sunday dinners, we used to sit down as a family, and I would like be pushing my meat all the way over the plate, and hopefully no one would notice that I hadn't eaten it. And then I was made to sit down and eat the meat, and I hated it. So now, I mean, I love fish and very rarely eat meat, because I find it's for me, maybe not for everybody, that meat and alcohol is a no-no, because not only I can't process it. I genuinely I won't go into graphic details because you don't need to hear that, but fish, I said fish is okay, but again, it's kind of like, what have you been doing to your body and putting in it? What are the energies like? What are the frequencies like? As we were saying, at the end of a big session, some of us might need a pick-me-up, like coffee or tea or greasy food or sugar. It doesn't have to be like everybody else. It's what is good for you.
And giving yourself permission to figure it out. So we have just a few minutes. Can you share about what you've been up to lately?
Yeah. I didn't think many people know about that one. Thank you.
Informations.
Yes. It's taken me a very long time, but this year I will have 2 books coming out.
Exciting stuff.
It is very exciting stuff. And the first time I've probably said it out loud for a while. So, and I'm so happy that it was on here and with you. So thank you.
So it needs another visit on the show to discuss and chat once it's available.
Thank you. So the first one I hope is going to be in the next month or 2. It's getting there. I said being ADHD and dyslexic it's certainly been a challenge because I don't read and I've had to read my own stuff. So right. That has certainly been a challenge. But it's all around energy and discernment and a bit about my journey. And then the next one will be what we've been talking about here. Will be more around the fractal antennas and the alien DNA and star lineages and the different beings. And that one's taken a little bit longer because there is just so much to put in.
Will it be a guidebook from A to Z of different species for us to lean into?
Not necessarily.
If I flip it open, I can go, this is who I want to try tapping into this week.
There are beings in there, and the information that I've picked up and learned over the years. I wouldn't necessarily say an A to Z because, as I said, there are new beings coming through all the time, and I know with a few of my clients, the odd new one will pop in, and that's when you really need to learn to trust what you're getting. Yeah. So there might be a couple of new to me and maybe new to everyone else. I don't know, but there'll definitely be some of those in there. But again, more around my journey, how I got there, and the background to it, the link with the DNA, the science, the spirituality, and the frequency, and most importantly, how you can start doing this yourself. And that's what's taking the time, but it will be out. So yes, I look forward to coming back on
2026. So,
yes, it is there. I put it out there now. It definitely has to happen. So
yes, I always say if I thank them for it, then it's already on its way. I just am thanking them ahead of time.
Oh, definitely. I mean, the information that's come through is just fascinating. But yeah, and reading my own stuff is definitely a challenge.
It's so life-changing. I know that I talked about this before when I had a multidimensional guide come in with one of my kiddos that is in the spectrum. Mm-hmm. They showed me that particular guide and their species, their race, worked with DNA structures, and they showed me that DNA structure overlapped on my sons and how they were helping, and it was life-changing and it was positive. And I think that is what I hope one of the things that people take away from the conversation is that their intention is loving and kind and helping us move forward.
Because it is being, and I think we said it right in the beginning, it's being in that heart consciousness.
Yeah.
Because that's where this planet is heading towards. That is the awakening. That is the disclosure. That is where all of most of the beings, and I will say most now, is in that heart consciousness, because we've been under various rulings in that for so long. That's why we keep on saying, and as you were saying, it's hand on the heart. It's going back in, and the more of us that do it, it builds up that higher frequency, that higher vibration on this planet. And it's not always, as I said, looking for that external validation, because you will trust.
That's right. Thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate you so much. And I appreciate you sharing your time, energy, and space, and pretty soon your words and wisdom in book form. You are a rock star. So Next week, folks. Rebecca F. Pittman is coming on next week. So Rebecca has been on the show a number of times. She is a brilliant author. I love reading her books. I am a book person, and she's going to be coming on talking about her book about the Enfield haunting. So if you do watch any of the Conjuring series, so the Conjuring, the Enfield haunting was the last one that was just it. So she wrote a very in-depth book about the Enfield haunting, and we're going to be talking about that next Friday on Spirit Switchboard. So thank you everybody that was in the chat and participating, hanging out with us. I appreciate all of you so very much. And thank you to Joe Montaldo and Michelle DeRoche. Thank you to the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3, and the Gulf Coast, 107.7 FM in beautiful New Orleans. I hope that everybody has a great week. Thank you everybody for being patient with Beyond or Beneath the Hollow Moon. We've had some life challenges, and Laura Lee's needed a bit of a break, but I think that we'll be back next week for sure. So if you could continue sending your love and prayers her way, I would greatly appreciate that as well too. So I hope everybody has a great week, and we'll see you back here next week at 6:10 Eastern with Rebecca F. Pittman. Have a good week, everybody. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.